Hey everyone, it's Ethan King from Lancaster Archery Supply. Today we're in the shooting center and we're going to be taking a look at the new Hoyt Z1S. This is going to be their speed bow option for 2023. It's going to replace the twin turbo from 2022. But before we get into the features of this bow, let's take a look at the specs. The Z1S is going to be a 33-inch axle to axle, a 5 7/8 inch brace height, an IBO speed rating of 350 feet per second. The draw length range on a rotating module is going to be 25 to 30 inches. The draw weights are going to be 30 to 70 pounds depending on which limb option you have. The mass weight of the bow, bare bow, is going to be 4.7 pounds, and the let off is going to be adjustable from 85 to 80. So getting into the new Hoyt Z1S, we're going to start at the top cam and work our way down. So it's going to be on a rotating module, so there's 2 screws, you're going to loosen those up, and it's actually nice because you have 2 safety features built in that keeps the mod from ever moving. There's indents where the screws sit, so that screw head sits down into a hole, plus there's a pin on the module to keep it in place, with the letters indicating what draw length setting you have it in. And like I said, it's adjustable from 80 to 85% let off, and you're going to do that with the draw stop. So you would loosen that screw up and you can slide it out to 80 or back into 85. And what that's going to do is just shorten the valley of the bow a little bit and give you some more holding weight on 80%, or if you want less holding weight, you can move it back down to 85. But what you need to know about moving that is it is going to change your draw length ever so slightly, but it is going to give you that extra holding weight. So with tuning these bows, it's a fixed hybrid system with a non-adjustable cable guard. So you're not going to be able to tune that the way you used to be able to in the past, but what you're going to be able to do is move shims around. So it comes out of the box with 2 gray shims in it, but you would be able to move shims around to move the cam left and right in order to get this bow tuned. So moving from the cam into the limbs, it's going to be the same limb that comes on the rest of the flagship bows. It's a wide limb coming into a solid pocket. Limb pockets I'm very big about. That's one thing that I'll look at in any bow that I shoot. And it is going to be a 1-piece aluminum pocket. So this front piece is attached to the rocker arms. It's going to ride on a plastic rocker, which is standard across any bow. It has 2 plastic pieces here to keep some vibration out of it. So what that's going to do is add a little pressure into that limb pocket and keep everything just more solid and less room for that vibration to travel. And something that they've done on their hunting bows for several years, and now that they're incorporating into their target bows, is how the limb connects to the pocket. So in the past, the limb would just connect straight into the aluminum pocket. I'm not a huge fan of that because that limb on solid aluminum contact can be kind of harsh and you can damage limbs. But what Hoyt's done is encased the limb with a piece of plastic that snaps onto the limb, then that snaps into the pocket. There's absolutely 0 movement. I've taken them apart, seen if there's any play. There's none at all. So that's a very solid system. And then you just have your limb bolt to adjust your poundage. So it's a very simple pocket, but very sturdy. Coming from the limb pocket, we have their vibration dampeners. So they're a weighted vibration dampener. Each one of these pods has a little weight in it. So when you shoot the bow, those weights are going to soak up some of that shock with the rubber. And they're removable. You can unscrew it from there and you can flip them to either side of the bow, top or bottom. So that's nice because you can get the weight where you want it and you can play around with those to see where it may take more vibration out or less. So coming from the limb pocket, you're going to have your top quiver mount. There's going to be a top and bottom quiver mount. For their line of quivers, you have the Low Pro 1-piece and then some detachable quivers that they offer as well. So that's a great feature to be able to mount that to the bow and instead of to the sight like it used to be traditionally. You do have an integrated Picatinny mount for mounting Picatinny rail sights. I don't have one on this bow. I just mounted actually my hunting sight on this. But you would be able to mount that on there. Unlike last year's speed bow where there wasn't a Picatinny option, you now have that machined right into the riser. So if you choose to use the Picatinny mount to get everything streamlined, it's going to be a very solid mounting system. In my opinion, probably more solid than just the traditional 2 screws. So coming from the sight mount, we have their standard roller guard that comes on the rest of their flagship bows. It's very smooth. These wheels are on bearings, so everything's very smooth. You're not going to get any excess cable wear, anything like that. And there's a block that keeps the strings from being able to come out. So, if you're out west hunting and you're, trying to spot and stalk something and you're crawling through the weeds or the brush, those cables aren't going to get knocked out of there without you knowing. So when you need to make a shot that counts, everything on this bow is going to be in place. So coming down from the roller guard, you're going to have your rest mounting location. So you do have your standard burger buttonhole, so you can mount any traditional rest on this in any configuration that you want. But one feature I think is very overlooked is the integrate system. So you have the dovetail machined into the back of the riser, which is a very solid mounting system. We've all experienced it. Sometimes you'll mount your rest, you think you get it tight enough, you'll knock it on something and it'll kick your rest up or down. Well, that's going to change the way the bow shoots and how your tune was. This is a very solid system that streamlines everything and keeps excess stuff off the side of the bow, so you don't have as much weight on that side and you don't have as much stuff to catch it on. But even if you catch this on something, it's not going anywhere because you have 4 points of contact gripping that rail. So coming down from the rest, you're going to have Hoyt's Vital Point grip. This is a new grip for the speed bow. Last year you just had the standard Hoyt grip that they came on their hunting bows for years. But now you're going to have the new grip with a shallower angle. So in the past they were a little steeper, so you had more of a high wrist grip. Now it's a little flatter, and they've changed the material of the grip a little bit, so it's very rubbery and it's not going to slide around and it's going to stay warm in the tree stand. Coming down from that, you're going to have your adjustable string stop. Now, I always mention the adjustable string stop because it's important that you can move that and not have too much pressure on your string or too much gap. So being able to slide those is nice to be able to get that exactly where you want it. Coming down from that, you're going to have your lower quiver mount, like I mentioned before. So that's where you'd be able to mount your 2-piece quivers. And then this hole here is going to be to mount your rear bar. So if you want a stabilizer coming off the back, Hoyt makes a mount that screws right into here. That's going to kick the bar off the side. Instead of having a bushing in the back and the extra material there that it would take to add extra weight to the riser, they've just put a hole through there that you can mount that into, get the weight low, and get the bar back and off the side of the bow. So along with your top mount stabilizer bushing, you're also going to have a lower one that comes with their short stop stabilizer. So what it is it's a rubber with a weight on the end. It has an aluminum casing around it just to kind of keep it a little bit more rigid so it doesn't flex too much. But when you shoot the bow, much like the dampeners top and bottom, that weight is going to flex the rubber and take some of the energy out of the motion of the vibration. But you would also be able to take that off and mount a stabilizer anywhere that you would want because it unscrews and it's your standard 5/16 24 stabilizer bushing. So moving on down from that, it's also going to come with limb dampeners, top and bottom, so that's going to help take some of that hand shock out and a little bit of that vibration. Also in the strings, they have pieces of rubber that have a hole through the middle of them, stuck in the string top and bottom, and that's just going to help take some of that sharp noise out of the string when you shoot it, much like the string dampener does, but that just adds some more vibration dampening to the top and the bottom of the bow. So like I said, this bow is rated for 350 feet per second. So speed bows aren't for everyone, but I think they're overlooked and people are quick to judge them because they think that a speed bow is going to be harsh and hard to shoot. And even with this being a 5 7/8 inch brace height, your grip is still not very far behind the back point of your limbs. So when you hear people talk about deflex risers versus reflex risers, what that is talking about is the pivot point of the grip behind where your limb rocks. So your rocker is where your limb technically is flexing. So your grip, how far it is behind or in forward of that determines whether it's a reflex or a deflex riser. So the grip really isn't that far behind the riser because they were able to lengthen the riser out and make it longer. So that keeps the grip more forward. So you're not going to get the harshness of a traditional speed bow being an extreme deflex riser. Even though it is a short brace height, it is very comfortable to shoot. So this cam is derived off the HBX cam. that comes on their other bows, but it's the S type. So you'll notice that it's more lobe shaped. So you're gonna have a wider peak here instead of it being more round like the traditional HBX cam. And that's where your speed's gonna come from. It's a little bit more aggressive, but it's not too bad. What I noticed when shooting it is most speed bows are harsh all the way through the draw. This one feels like any average bow all the way till you get probably to the last 2 inches, then you have that hump. For me, it's very comfortable to shoot. That's why I decided to hunt with it last year. But some people, get caught up on speed. One thing that this bow would be good for is, you're hunting out west, you need that speed and that kinetic energy to make those long shots, or you don't want to pull a lot of poundage. Your shoulders won't let you, or you just aren't strong enough to pull the poundage. You can lower the poundage down on these and still get the speeds of some of the other bows on higher poundage because it is that more aggressive cam with the shorter brace height. So don't think that just because it's a speed bow, it still doesn't shoot good. They shoot phenomenal. I was able to get it broadhead tuned and shoot a fixed blade broadhead all the way out to 80 yards, no problem on a 2-inch dot. Very confident with shooting these bows. They shoot fantastic. There's not much vibration to them. Even though it is technically a speed bow, it still draws smooth and has a very nice aftershot. So since we're talking about this bow being a speed bow, let's head over to the pro shop and get an arrow weight, a poundage weight, and shoot this thing through the chronograph. All right, guys, we're over here at the pro shop before they open so we can get in here and use the stuff that we need to. We're gonna get a weight on the arrow, poundage, and then we're gonna shoot it through the chronograph and show you guys exactly how fast this bow is gonna be. I have a 250 spine RIP TKO with a 100 grain point, and then just a silent knot SK2. So let's get a weight. So we got 391.5. So let's get the poundage and then go shoot it through the chronograph. All right, guys, let's draw this thing back and see what the draw weight's at. So we're zeroed out. I got 70.5. And this is going to be on 29.5 inches in the B position with the 391 grain arrow. So we'll get down to the chronograph and see exactly how fast this bow is going to be. "322 feet a second. That's 29.5 inches, 70.5 pounds, and a 391 grain arrow. That's pretty fast. The new Hoyt Z1S is going to be a fantastic bow for any hunting situation, and it really is pleasant to shoot. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more like it, subscribe. And if you want to be notified when we release new videos, hit the notification bell. And if you have any more questions, visit us at lancasterarchery.com.